Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. Really excited here to be joined by Reyna Joy. Not only is she a pastor, but she's a creative director and also artistic director. She has worked with so many household names, including Ye, because now he doesn't call himself Kanye anymore. Beyonce, who does still at least have the A in there. And lots of other greats, including Neo and Major, we just had on the show not that long ago. Justin, you name the names, and she's worked with them. So she has a book out called The 30-Day Journey to Loving the Woman in Me by Reyna Joy Banks. So yeah, I want to talk about that, and just such welcome.
You're welcome.
Appreciate having
Thank
you
you.
here.
Thank you for having me. You guys are amazing.
So
I'm like, how did you know all that?
well, a little birdie whisper.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Jack.
Yes, Jacqueline is
Put us
the
together.
best.
So we got to turn back the clock in time.
Yeah.
How so many people want to be in this business in some type of a way. How did you find your calling? How did you sort of come into it?
Yes, 100%. So when I was a child, most people don't know this story actually, but it's in the book. I was born with club feet, and it's very rare, very, very rare. But I had the worst case. So your feet are literally shaped like C's. I wore casts from 3 months old until I was 4.5 years old. Jumped into track shoes, swimming, dancing. I'm a miracle. To this day, doctors get saved because of my x-rays. They're like, how have you done all of this your whole life? And you're a dancer. And so I believe with my love for Jesus, he allowed that to happen so that I would know that I would never, ever be able to do anything without him. And that I was who I am because of him. And so when I embraced him and my gifts in the spirit, because I have a lot of those too, dance was that way of me expressing myself without having to verbalize what I was actually feeling, because I was so different as a kid with all the different spiritual gifts. Dance was like my way of feeling like human, but also being able to let go of whatever was going on mentally, emotionally, seeing things, feeling things, all of that. Dance brought me back to a centered place. And I was like, this is what I want to do. But I didn't know it could be a career.
Right.
I didn't know that it could be the thing that changed my whole life. Like I've never worked a regular job before, you know? So the feet became the miracle, and the miracle became my gift to help change and save lives across the world. And so it started with that, rooted in laying hands on people at age 2.5 years old, praying them, healing, delivering people before when I could barely even talk, you know, but it comes from God. And so sometimes it was just those moments where I knew someone was in need. And if I couldn't save them from the stage, then I would save them with my hands and my prayers. And that's pretty much how my journey started. It started with God, and it's been with God this whole time. And I will never move or breathe or do anything without him.
Absolutely. Take us through that progression, because that's an amazing story. And we just had an amazing dancer on, Chester Whitmore.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, how you sort of sensed it evolved, because I mean, classically, someone would maybe be in the video in a background, and then maybe move up to choreography, and then next thing, artistic creative. So walk us through that.
Yeah. So it still blows my mind sometimes when I go back. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I've done all of that. So let's say once I fell in love with dance, I said, okay, professor's like, look, track or dance, you got to choose one. And I said, well, I'm going to choose dance, because track, it's just running against yourself every day. Right. And so when that happened, I ended up using my gift of dance from ballet training, contemporary, modern. I mean, everything. I was training everything from age 6 and up. I used it for the Lord first. So I was getting booked to minister and dance everywhere. And my dad would go with me, travel with me. And then at age 15, my sister was like, come with me on Soul Train. And I was like, okay. I walked in there. Don Cornelius was like, you come here. I was like, he's like, you're not old enough to be here, huh? And I was like, no. He goes, you can stay. And he goes, but you better be able to dance. And I was like, okay, I got you. And next thing you know, I was like on the stage, you know, they decided when to pick. And I was like up there, and they were like, where's this kid? Where's she come from? I'm like, she's not supposed to know she's 15. Next thing you know, I was dancing for Usher on the Yeah video. Was my first job at 17 years old. I was still in high school. I didn't even know it could be a career though. That was what was crazy. I thought it was just something that I love to do. And God was like, because you didn't want the fame of it, I'm giving it to you because I can trust you and that you won't mess up my name in the midst of doing this business. Right. And so to this day, people say she's the one that will pray. She's the one that's the only thing I can say about Reyna. None of the other yucky stuff. Right. Her whole career is because of God. And so from that, I ended up going to college, Cal State University of Fullerton. One of my sorority sisters, ended up being an agent, Trio Talent Agency in Hollywood. I freestyled to My Goodies at a frat party and was just like killing it.
Tape, but you didn't know it.
Right, exactly. It was just killing it. She was like, hold on a second, come here. And I was like, she was the big sis of my big sis. And she was like, I didn't know you could dance like that. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I didn't know you could dance like that. I was like,
Right.
she's like, well, I'm an agent. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't know that side of the business as a dancer. I know as an actress, but not as a dancer. And she's like, no, you need to come. We have an audition next week. I was like, okay, call my parents. I was like, so I'm going to this audition. They were like, okay, go, like whatever, you know, because they support whatever I do. And so I went and murdered it. For lack of better terms.
Right, that's the way.
God showed up. But one of the things he said to me before I went, he said, if I give you this, you cannot put school on the back burner. I'm the first one in my family to go to college 4 years right out of high school, graduate with multiple degrees, and then do my career, right? And so I was like, okay, God. He's like, no, I'm serious. If I give you this, you cannot put school on the back burner. Keep it the number one priority. And I was like, okay, got it. Went to the audition, killed it, got signed on everything that day, right on the spot. I was the only one that night that did. Print, campaigns,
right.
Dance, but modeling, movies, TVs, commercials. I mean, everything. And my career when I say it took off immediately. I turned down some big movies that you guys know about as lead roles that I was offered because God said, what did I say to you? And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, it's like,
I didn't know it was going to be this.
what? Like, but why would you let me have this opportunity? Because I'm testing you. I told you what. So call the agents. I can't take it. What? You can't take it? Like, first of all, it's not an option. I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, I can't take it. I have to finish. They're like, God, you and Jesus. That's what they said to me. They're like, okay, well, we'll just keep booking you and everything else. So no movies. Is like, no movies until I graduate. And I'm like, okay, fine. They're like, Reyna, do you understand what you're turning down? And I was like, yes, but just stop. Just don't. So then I was booking commercials left and right, not stopping classes, still doing my job and graduate, all that stuff, but ended up literally booking Nike campaigns, everything. Like, it was just going. But I gave God my yes. And I obeyed him with that yes. So I honored him what I promised him I wouldn't do. And then he also said, okay, let me keep blessing you. But then once I graduated, it was over. It was like game over. I moved to Hollywood, was walking to rehearsals, IDA, like just everything. But in the midst of that, I was creative directing, didn't know it was creative directing. I was choreographing, didn't know that I could actually make that side of my career a career. And so next thing you know, I'm getting direct booked on jobs by B and so many others and gospel artists. I became the choreographer of the gospel entertainment industry. So Dietrich Haddon, Kira Shearer, Molly Music, Travis Green, his whole Stellar, was it Stella's? Yeah, I think it was the Stellar Awards. Yep. The year that he won all those awards.
Right.
That was all my work. I would have to be on stage. My mic was off though, because I don't sing like the rest of them. Not gospel. And so it just became this thing. God was like, he says, your gifts will make room for you. So he started with the one gift and then he opened up all these other ones, and creative directing and choreography and artistic directing and artist development became literally my heartbeat, my bread and butter, my love every day, waking up, going to sleep, living that life. I've worked with Shaka Khan. I mean, I've worked with so many of the legends and film and TV and everything. But it was God. That's really all I can say. It was God and changing lives in the process. And then people moving to LA and at church, them saying, meet Reyna, you need to meet Reyna, actors, dancers, everything. They're like, she will literally get you set. No resume or anything. Next thing you know, I started FHG Entertainment, my company, to not be an agent or a manager. But my goal was to make sure that everybody was living their dreams. And that's what happened. I would just book them on every job that was coming my way. Book them. They went from no resume to long, and some of them are on the movies that we see now, TV shows now. So that's legacy. It's standing on my shoulders and going higher than I've ever gone, doing more than I've ever done, and becoming greater than I've ever been. If I'm not doing that, then I'm not doing my job.
Picking an artist as an example where you feel comfortable, just tell us what an artistic director, what your role, the kinds of things as a creative director.
Absolutely. So I'll use a Major.
Sure.
Major, I literally worked hand in hand with BOE Global to build him from the ground up. So in 2000, I worked with Major since 2013, his entire career. I am the visionary behind Why I Love You, the visionary behind, oh my God, Keep On, Love Me Olay, like pretty much all his videos except for like 2 of them. And so that's another thing with me, all my content, I have over 20 billion plus streams on all the videos that I've been the creative director of that all went viral, and the choreographer for, and the casting for, and all of that. So I would say with Major, the journey was so beautiful because I was trusted. That's when I really started understanding, oh, I'm a creative director. I was like, oh, that's what that is. That's what I'm doing. Okay, cool. And so, the label and the producer at the time gave me full range creative wise, which is that rarely ever happens.
Yes.
We know that, right? Like the artist development labels have taken that out. They're like, forget this, forget that. They gave me full creative control. Whatever ideas I had, they're like, okay, let's do it. Let's go for it. And so Why I Love You was one of those first ones. We did one that never came out back in 2013. That was when he first launched, whatever. Hired over 100 dancers. It was the most phenomenal thing. I wish they would put that out just for fun, but it was the most beautiful experience because as a creative director, what you're doing is you're sitting down in the board meetings and you're listening to the artist's vision. You're hearing the label's vision and then your vision, right? And you're playing the song, you're hearing it. Then you have that meeting, take your notes, whatever. Then they're like, now have at it. You go home. I'll be honest, it's encounters with God. I can't take the credit for anything that I've done all these years. I would get literally images, spinning images while I'm sleeping. I'm always working while I'm sleeping. And I would go, do. And then the pieces would come together. And then I would say, okay, here. And I would present it, laying it all out visually or whatever, creatively, present it like, oh my God. Yeah, let's do it. I'm like, okay. And the next thing you know, 40 to 100 million to 400 million to, views on videos and stuff. So if that's the creative direction for the music video side, but when it comes to like live shows and stuff, it's the same thing. We sit down, we have a conversation, but it's less of them telling me what they want. It's more of do what you want to do, but make it great. And so with Major, what was so beautiful and what still is beautiful when we work together is that he takes direction very well.
I was just going to get at that.
Very well. Beyonce takes direction very well. Shaka takes direction very well. Not every artist does.
Right. And you don't have to say the ones that don't, but
I won't. Travis Green takes direction very well. Kira Shear takes direction very well. Sure. That girl can dance her butt off too. They need to let her dance more. But that's what makes it enjoyable is when the artist is submitting, the label is submitting. And you are also submitting to what the vision is, even if it doesn't always make sense, but you're like, wait, why that? Or why this at this moment? Or why da-da-da? You're low-key a director, but you work with the director as well. You work with the first AD, second AD, all the producers, you're literally the runner of the show, basically, whether if it's a live show, whether if it's a music video, whether if it's, what else could I say? Even a print campaign, commercial campaign, same thing. Like creative directing and artistic directing is probably the most beautiful gift to do because you look at something and you created something from nothing. It was once just a conversation. And then you put all these pieces together that only God could have given you and you make a masterpiece. And then you watch the reaction of the people.
Right.
That's the best part.
Right.
That's the best part. I always say if one person's life has changed from your performance or your video or whatever that is, your monologue, whatever that is, you've done your job. And then when you leave an arena and hundreds of thousands of lives were changed, you're like, Jesus have mercy. Like we did it again, So that's basically the process in a short term of a creative director,
Labels get a lot of bad press. I want to tease that element out because I think you mentioned it quickly, but we can dismiss it in passing. Where's their level of sort of control, let's say, in that you've got 4 or 5 songs on an album that you're going to be in charge of and creating that vision?
Yeah.
Where exactly? Because often we think, hey, they'll let their team kind of put it together.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a couple situations like that. No names.
Sure. That's fine.
But ultimately I always win. I do. But sometimes it's a fight. But I fight respectfully and I fight with love. My middle name is Joy. So you could only imagine in a moment, I literally will smile and nod.
Sure.
And I go, okay, I understand what you're saying. I totally get that. And I said, but I could still make it work with the budget.
Right.
Most of the time it's a money thing. I'm going to be fully honest with you.
Right. I believe it.
It's rarely ever the actual vision.
Right.
It's more of how much is this going to cost us?
Sure. Right. Yes.
And I'm like, how much do you want to spend?
Sure.
And I will make this happen within the budget, but don't make me look stupid.
Sure.
Don't have me hire dancers for $1.
Some of the artists have told me they also feel that they're compressed on time. Like, okay, well, it presses Friday. We need the video done next Thursday.
Now that does happen.
Right.
When I'm working on a job, they are not allowed to do that.
Right.
Because of the position that I'm in, though.
Yep.
When I first started, it wasn't like that. So let's go from when I first started. It was, yes, we have 7 days. Okay, great. And the budget doesn't work for 7 days. You get what I'm saying? Like, you want me to do all this in 7 days and you still want me to crunch numbers? Like, how does this work? So, you just submit. I'm going to be honest with you. My gift has been submission. And I will say that probably my mom can't stand that about me, but I literally walk that Bible tone is submission. If a label genuinely trusts me with their vision, they trust me with their artist, and they're saying, look, this is what we need and this is when we need it. Before I became a name, what the world would consider, I say, okay, cool. We're going to do the best that we can. with the time that we have. Not, yeah, no problem. I'll make it. No. We're going to do the best that we can with the time that we have. And even when I was young, I was that bold because I knew I'm not going to stress myself out for what you don't even understand we have to do to make this happen. They don't know all they're doing is writing the checks.
Sure.
They've
Right.
never known. They still don't know. They will never
the
know,
process.
you know? And so, they just see the aftermath. They're like, oh, okay, great job. It's like, I don't even make residuals off this. This is not fair. You know what I mean? But you speak to the situation in a positive, respectful manner, and you get the job done. When you love what you do, you get the job done. People can pick a fight. I've seen it. I'm just not that person. But as I got older and I became a name, what this world would call a name, it was, how much time do you need, Raina? And then with that, it's like, I technically need at least 3 weeks being nice. But if you could give me a month to draw all this out and make it happen, then it will work better with your budget, because you rush people, they charge you more.
Of course.
Right? They're like, oh, okay, cool. On demand. Great. Another 100,000. Like,
Sure.
no.
Right.
So it got to that point to where they would just, whatever you need, whatever you want. And that's favor too, though. And that's God. But I tell people, your character has to be able to keep you where your gifts take you. It's my character that gave me the favor. God gave me the favor, but my character kept the favor, right? A lot of people I've watched throughout this business, lose relationships.
Sure.
Ruin relationships, book a job, and then lose the job the next week because of their character.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Right?
Character, attitude.
Yeah, exactly. The attitude, you know? No, it's the attitude. Exactly. Let your yes be yes, your no's be no's. But if they're giving you a yes and you're still like, no, but I, you make it work. You just, in this business, you got to be flexible.
Sure.
I always say, don't marry it. Don't marry yourself to it. Choreography wise, I'll say, don't marry it. I might change it in 10 minutes. Relax, just hold on to it, but don't marry it. Like, you can't marry anything in this business because it could change within overnight. You could have a job one day and not have a job the next. You'd be the person for this gig, but then God comes with a bigger one. And you're like, if you didn't give that no, you would have missed your greatest yes. Like, so you have to be flexible. You know what I mean? You have to be fluid and you have to be present and you have to submit.
Sure.
Whatever that is that God wants to do, you got to be able to do it.
Do you sense some of that difficulty comes from feeling that they've been on the journey so long and now they're being taken advantage of, literally financially as well? And, but I heard that you did so-and-so for.
Oh my gosh. That's
No
why.
names.
Guess what? That's why I have NDAs now.
Right. Is that right? Sure.
Everybody has to sign an NDA before they'd have a meeting with me.
Right.
No joke. Because if I'm going to bless you,
Right.
even if God, because I have my rates, right? I do. I have my rates. And they're not normal.
Sure.
You know, they're because of my work, whatever, but I always am open because sometimes God will want you to bless people.
Right.
Sometimes it's for free. Sometimes it's 50% off. Sometimes it just depends because I'm about the relationship more
Sure.
than I am about the dollar. God's going to always take care of me if I take care of his people. Right.
Right.
But that taking advantage part, now there's a difference because Jacqueline will tell you this, and anybody that knows me will tell you this. Raina's so nice.
Right.
She's so nice. And sometimes that can be taken as a weakness. And it has.
Right.
I've been through the fire.
Right.
She will tell you. Anybody that really knows me, they're like, Raina is literally a redemption story, like on multiple occasions. And what I say to the people that either have been through what I've been through or are going through what I'm going through right now, you have to set the tone. People can only do to you what you allow them
That
to do.
is true.
And right, hallelujah, praise moment. And you have to know your worth for people to know your worth. If you don't see yourself how God sees you, people will not see you how God sees you. If you are willing to play small, people will treat you small. And so I always tell people, you tell people your rates, but they're negotiable. If you know that God's giving you that heart, like you need to be a part of this. If it's not, you know that they're going to play with it. No, these are my rates.
Sure.
Especially if you know they have it, you know,
Right.
It's people will only do what you allow them to do. They'll get away with what they feel like they can get away with.
Absolutely.
So I always say, read the room. I'm more quiet than I talk. Not like right now, but
Sure, no, I mean,
but literally, like I watch, I observe, but I had to learn that. I wasn't like that my whole life. I've been through things, and it teaches you how to be quiet, be slow to speak, quick to listen. Mom said that my whole life. I never got it until I had to get it.
Right.
And people will tell you who they are without them saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
God will show you if someone is worth the time or if they're not within an instant of meeting them. He will tell you if a job is going to be worth it or if it's going to be a headache within a second.
Sure.
You have to decide from that point. He's going to reveal it to you, but it's up to you. He gives you free will,
right?
Freedom of choice. Are you going to take the headache? Or are you going to walk away from the headache?
Right.
You're going to take the blessing, you're going to walk away from the blessing. And every day in this entertainment industry, it is that. I tell people, is it really worth it? If someone writes you $1 million check, but you're going to go through hell every day, you're going to lose your hair, you're going to be stressed out.
Right.
Is it worth it? It's honestly not worth it. When you get 5 jobs that are less stressful, that end up adding up to that 1 million,
Sure.
you know?
Right.
So is it going to cause you to compromise yourself, your morals, you know, whatever that is? Like they knew back in the day with dancing, they knew if Reyna books his job, it's either crop top and long, like leggings or something, or the shorts and covered up leotard or something. She's going to do one or the other. She's not going to show everything. She's not going to have her butt out. She's not going to, and they knew like, okay, no problem. Like, but if they weren't telling me what wardrobe was and I was booked and I'm like, what's the wardrobe? You're not telling me for a reason. What's the wardrobe? If they wouldn't tell me, like, you know what, I'm turning it down, to be like, no, we're figuring it out for you. If they really want you, you have to tell people how to treat you. If they really want you, they're going to figure it out. That's your budget, if it's $2,000 a day or if it's $5,000 a day, they're going to figure it out. If they know your worth and you know your worth, they're going to figure it out. And if you're meant to bless them, they say, you know what, we can take care of that. And then God goes, now give them 50% off.
Right.
He's done that so many times, but he's testing them also while he's testing you. He wants to know that you're ready for the bigger. You be faithful with little, he'll bless you with much, but he's also making sure that they're faithful with little, then he'll bless them with the you. That is the much more and vice versa.
Absolutely.
And
That's a great setup for your book. Talk to us about the genesis behind it. And it's so empowering.
Oh my goodness. So the book, The 30-Day Journey to Loving the Woman in Me.
I think that's a movie right there.
And it is actually, it's coming at some point.
That's right.
I will tell you this. I've been a person that's been so selfless my entire life. So a lot of the things that God told me to do has been put down. I know has been set and laying dormant. And this was the year. This is why also the move across country was so important. He's like, I need you to get back to you. There's things that I put on the inside of you that I need you to birth out. You can keep birthing everybody all day long, but if you don't do what I told you to do, you're actually disobeying me. Yeah. And that's a problem, right? So the book was a move of obedience. And my God, it was a journey. But it started one day. I was sitting with someone in a studio where we worked with Major or whatever. And I had a moment and he was like, you need to come to the studio right now. Something's going on. And I was like, no, nothing's going on. And I was like, I'm fine. No, you're not. Get to the studio. And I was like, all right, I'm coming. Got there. It was like already crying and like wailing. And I was like, I don't know. Like, tell me what's going on. And I laid it all. It was the first time where I was able to like express, because dance was my way of I expressed myself all my life and writing, but what nobody would see.
Sure.
So it was the first time verbally where I was like, boom, 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 from childhood, growing up, like just so many things. I'm not going to put my, family on blast or anything, but there was a lot that I saw and I was that child that fixed everything and everybody. Till this day, they'll be like, yep, you need somebody to pray?
Sure, call me.
Right. And it's like, but you forget that person that's the one that you can depend on to bring the answer to your problems is also the person that needs you to pray for them too.
As well.
And people forget that. Yes. And I still go through that often, but the book was almost like my last cry before it was either the book or not being here anymore, basically. Right. Because everyone had pulled so much. Everyone needed and my career was at its peak, family. And once you get success, it's like, everyone's like, and you're like, wait,
I talked to you when you were
I'm still a baby, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still young, like career took off early. So I'm like, I'm still young. Like, I can't be dependent on like this. No, like I'll pray, but everything else, no, like stop. And so I was silent though. That's the issue. I became silent. So I was in pain in silence. And so that's when that call happened. God had put on his spirit, something's not right. She's not okay. Get her to the studio. Cause music and anything, dance studio or recording studio, that is my place of like, right? So went there, cried it out, talked about a whole lot that I'd never shared, which when you read the book, you will hear a lot of it. I still was vague in the book though. I still didn't the next one's going to lay a lot more out. So this is actually my first time announcing this, but I will do it because you guys are freaking amazing. But I am coming out with the 30-Day Journey to Loving the Woman in Me again. And there's a reason for that. I've been through so much since that last one came out that
it didn't scratch the surface.
Yep. That's
And I should
right.
just say, because we've interviewed him twice now, Major is not just another artist, and I'm not trying to put him up or put him down, but his depth, his ministry is his music, even though he's not technically a minister.
Right.
So his ability to be very perceptive,
Yeah.
and also the caring is very sincere. You hear
Yeah.
that from some people, but for him, it's really true. So
I
it's not
just-
surprising you heard his message.
I know he's wonderful. I just saw him at the Ladies High Tea
Yeah.
in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
That's the first time I really saw him
Yeah.
like in person like that.
Yeah.
Just and how he carried himself and the things he was saying and
Yeah, he's
talking. You know, you can tell by
It comes
some
from a sincere
singers
place.
sometimes that
Very
they have
He has a
different-
presence
yes, he
that makes you
does.
feel like you're seen
Right.
and you're heard and you matter.
right. Yes.
And that's the mission.
a lot of concern for us audience in general.
Yes.
Like you could feel it and tell it.
Yeah.
Because something happened with the sound system or something. I
Yeah.
forgot, but
Right.
you
Yeah,
had him
right,
start
right, right.
over.
You
got
said
it
right. You said
That's the
right.
way
Don't mess
you
up
can
my
do that,
sound
'cause
instead.
sometimes
Sure.
when you mess up an artist's soundtrack,
Exactly
and
right. Right, exactly.
it could
Honey.
be your last job or your
Let me tell you. Yeah, you'll be blackballed. It's over after that.
Yes.
And he's learned the thing with working with him, I've watched him evolve.
Mhm.
I've watched him. He's a very observant person. So he corrects himself even before somebody else can. That's what I really admire about Major. Like he will stop before he responds to something. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so that's when you see that, that's the outcome of work.
I've learned
And
that.
him realizing like, you know what? I love people too much to become like what I've seen. He's been in this business for a long time.
Mhm.
He's watched people mishandle people. He's watched people speak to people like they were not. Major's always said, I never want to become that.
That person.
And that's been his mission. So even in moments when he could pop off, because there's moments where he could have like, wow, you really, wow. Like you handled that. So I don't know if I could have did that, you know, but because even in how someone's coming towards you or at you, you want to be at peace with God with how you handle them. However they handled
Right.
you is between them and God, but you don't want the blood on your hands
Right.
of reciprocating what they did. We're firm
Thank-
believers in that. And that's why we always have worked so well together. Like we're people.
Yeah.
We're for the people at the end of the day. And if they don't feel better after leaving your presence, we were out of order, you know? So yeah, the book, from that day, long story short, from that day, he sent me to his life coach and said, you need to go see her now, like not tomorrow, like now, go to her now. Went to her and she started my journey with me. And every day that I wrote my first chapter is called Rest. Day 1 is called Rest. And, it's because after I met with her, I went home and slept almost to the next day and woke up feeling, I looked different. It was the most insane, just from speaking out
Right.
what was
Right.
inside that I never spoke out loud
Always.
before.
Mm.
And having safe atmospheres and safe people to be able to do that with. That's the important part. And make sure you're doing it with safe people.
Right.
You can't just share everything with everybody. We've all learned that, right?
Yes, right.
And so
Sure.
otherwise
Right.
everybody will know something they're not supposed to know. And then you got to clean up that too. But that's how the book started, was my journaling. The book actually was I was journaling my whole life. I've journaled since I was a kid, but this specifically from this day 1, Rest, going through the 30 days, that 30 days was 3 years.
Right.
It was 3 years. The 30 days was 3 years of writing. Sometimes I was afraid to write. I was like, I'm not sharing this. But every time I was on a plane, God would write a whole another 3 or 4 chapters of the book. Like it was just going and going. I'm like, what's happening? He was like, the book is already written. He said, the book is already written. You've been journaling. This
Right.
is your book. And so that's how it happened. And it's evolved. It evolved from there. He gave me every chapter title. Like I was sitting on a plane. I had every chapter title done before I even put the journaling to the book, to the writing. It's scary, low key scary.
Yeah.
That's how I knew it was time. And women all over the world, Africa, Brazil, I mean, everywhere, people that don't even speak English, they have been healed from the book.
Mm.
I'm talking about physical healings have taken place. Cancer, people have been healed from cancer for me in the book. So as I was writing, I was healing. So the healing that happened with me transferred through the paper and the pages of the book. And so women that touch it, men read it too. Men bought it. I have probably an equal amount of men that bought the book. The women, they said, I want to learn the woman more. I want to understand women more. So they bought the book and then gave another one to their wife or girlfriend or whatever, sister, mom. People have had physical healings from my book, physical, mental, emotional testimony. I still have an audio message to this day from a woman who got completely healed of stage 4 cancer that was traveling through her entire body. And she read my book and God gave me to tell her what to do. And he said, write down the who, what, when, where, how, and why. From childhood all the way till now, is that the cancer is feeding off of your unforgiveness.
Well, I believe that.
The moment she did exactly what the Lord told her to do, she went back to Atlanta, that specific cancer center. They couldn't find any cancer anywhere.
Yeah, stressful. kill you.
It
Literally.
will kill you.
It's-
And the internal
and the
trauma,
trauma.
you've got to deal, you
Right.
have,
That's
I don't
continuing to
care.
eat from within.
yeah, I don't care how
Mhm.
painful it is. You have to deal with what you've been through. Talk it out, write it out. If you can't speak it, write it, but you got to get it
Yeah.
out because that mess will eat you alive. And cancer feeds off of the things that you won't deal with, the unspoken things that you've never dealt with, and the things that our culture often tucks under the rug.
Right.
If you can't see it, if nobody knows
Right.
about it, it didn't
Doesn't
happen.
exist. Right.
It did happen. And we need to talk about it. So that's what the book was for. That's what it's done. That's what it's doing to this day. It's still, I mean, people still buy them. I'm like, God, it's been years. I don't even promote it. It's just like, it has a life of its own and it just keeps evolving itself. So definitely a film. We've talked about it. I've put myself last, but this is the year that I'm coming back out. That's why
right.
Jacqueline and I was just
Exactly.
like, you have to stop hiding. Everyone probably is coming. You got to stop hiding. And they're like, and I'm like, oh God, you were only supposed to be the person that told me this, not everybody else. He's like, no,
Right.
seriously, stop hiding. Like you can, yes, birth everybody else, but if you're not birthing what I put inside of you, then what are you doing? I don't want to die and go to heaven full. I want to die and go to heaven empty. So-
Wonderful.
Sure.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so inspirational.
Thank
On
you.
that note,
Me
tell
right
us
now.
where we can find the book and
Yes.
also more about you, because I mean, your passion and your
Thank you.
enthusiasm, they're infectious.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very much so.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I needed this.
Hey man, I did too. I really
know.
didn't even know it. Yeah. And we're going to pray with you though after
gonna
too for your
pray, yes.
brother.
My brother.
So yeah, book, you can find it Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Target. I believe it's in some stores. I don't know exactly which ones they're in, but online, all of those platforms. Every single one of them, Walmart, Barnes and Nobles, Target, Amazon. And then social media, Reyna Joy Banks on some pages, other things, whatever. Affirm Yourself Today is my ministry side. We're going to release some things for that. That's for another maybe interview another day.
Yes,
Can't talk about that just
absolutely.
yet.
We'd love to have you back.
But yeah, I've got a lot coming. Tru Friends project, my future daughter. I created this whole, I don't have kids yet, but I created this whole franchise for her, for kids to just be whole in who they are and stuff. So, and then our all-in-one app that is getting ready to launch. It's 3.0. It's game changer, casting people from all over the world. You no longer just have to move to LA to live your dreams. You can
Sure.
live in Africa. You can live
Yeah,
in
that's
Dubai.
right.
And now you can book jobs anywhere. We have every language, all of the
Wow.
above. So all-in-one app, Reyna Joy Banks, Affirm Yourself Today, FHG Entertainment LLC. And yeah, and then websites, same, ReynaJoyBanks.com, FHGEntertainmentLLC.com, allinoneapp.LLC.co. Yeah, everywhere. If you Google my name, it all pops up. So yeah, yep.
Such a powerful message today, such a wonderful person delivering it. And you can see that her enthusiasm, her passion, not only are infectious, as I described, but also very real and come from a place of healing. And you too can take that journey, not only by getting a copy of her book, but by really listening and hearing the story that's coming from within. Many of us have been down that same path, kind of hidden the truth, avoided a reality, not had a conversation that really, in this case, helped in her case with Major, really bring out a whole world that now we get to at least understand a little bit more and unpack. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. You guys are the best.